All right, hello everybody. So we are looking at our Unit 6 CBA review. I'm going to walk through this. I'm trying and take it slow, but please remember you are able to pause and rewatch as you need. So let's look at number 1. Janice wants to buy crawfish that is $3.25 per pound. That means that for 1 pound, she's going to pay $3.25. 2 pounds, she's going to pay 2 of $3.25. 3 pounds, she'd pay 3 of $3.25. If y'all remember, parentheses means we multiply. So if you're thinking about this, we're multiplying by that $3.25 to find out the price for the total. She has a total of $40 to spend. Which equation can be used to determine the amount in pounds of crawfish Janice can buy without going over her limit? So our total has to be 40. So if it's not equal to 40, we can go ahead and cross it out. So A is fine, B is fine. C doesn't equal 30, neither does D. Now, looking at A and B, we already figured out to find our total that we spend, it's $3.25 times the pounds she buys. So A doesn't work because it's dividing. The only possible answer has to be B. If you will read through these and take the time to think about, okay, I got 1 pound of crawfish. Now I've got 2 pounds of crawfish, so I have to pay more than that. If you think about it, dividing isn't going to give you a bigger number. Multiplying will. All right. Mrs. Rogers showed the students part of the prime factorization of 120. One factor is missing. Okay, so they have 3 2s and a 3. We need to actually prime factor 120. So 120, we need to be working with our prime numbers, which is 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. And you know there's many, many more, but those are pretty much our lowest prime numbers. So 120 is even, so I'm going to divide by 2, which gives me 60, which is not prime. So I can divide by 2 again, and I get 30. I can divide by 2 again, which gives me 15. Now, I got my 3 2s, so I got that part. It says I can divide 15 by 3, and I'm going to get 5. So I got my 3. The only thing missing out of this is that 5. Now, typically, we just write it in here, but we also need to know how to grid it. So it's a positive 5, so I'm going to bubble the positive. And we know that there's an invisible decimal point right here behind that 5. Our 5 needs to go in the 1's place. If you forget that, it's on the board. All right, look at number 3. What value is equivalent to 2 to the power of 4 minus 3 to the power of 3 times 10 minus 7 minus negative 6? Okay, here's what I need you to remember here. You should be following GEMS. So first we need to look at our grouping. You should also have our little triangle there. So 10 minus 7, I know that's 3. So I'm going to rewrite the entire thing, 2 to the power of 4 minus 3 to the power of 3 times 3 minus negative 6. All right, I got all my grouping. Are there any exponents? I have 2 numbers with exponents. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do, okay, I've got 2 to the power of 4. That means I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. A lot of you are multiplying 2 times 4 to get 8. That would be wrong. We need to multiply 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So 2 to the power of 4 is 16. So I have 16, and then 3 to the power of 3, that means I have 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So 16 minus 27 times 3 minus negative 6. Okay, took care of my exponents. Now, multiplication or division, is there any of that? We have 27 times 3. So, some of you can do this in your head, but I'd really like for you to show your work. So we're going to go over to the side. 27 times 3. 7 times 3 is 21. Hold the 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 7, 8. We got 81. So now I have 16 minus 81 minus negative 6. All right. We have 16 minus 81. I'm taking a larger number away from a smaller number. So we're not going to subtract, we're going to add the opposite, which means we're going to end up with a negative. If you think about it in dollars, I have $16. I spent $81 at the store. I'm going to be in debt. So we actually have 16 plus negative 81. And let's go ahead and change this subtraction as well to be 81, and then we've got add the opposite. So we have adding a positive 6. So when we're adding different signs, subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. We know it's going to be negative. And then we do 81 minus 16. This becomes 11, 7. 11 minus 6 is 5. 7 minus 1 is 6. So we have negative 65 plus 6. Different signs, subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. We know our answer has got to be negative. That means we can cross out D. And that means we're going to say 65 and subtract 6. This becomes 15. This becomes 5. 15 minus 6 is going to be 9. Bring down the 5. We have a negative 59. Now, I came down. I made sure it comes to a point, but I also had to check my signs. You got to be careful of those signs, guys, because that'll get you messed up every time. All right. Numero quattro. Which model best represents the equation below? First of all, how many x's do we have? 1, which means that anything that has more than one x marked can't be right. So let's go ahead and mark out B and D. Now attached to our x is 9 positives. So I should have x plus 9. X, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or x and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, what happened here is they put the 12 with x. But if we're paying attention to where our equal sign is, 9 should be with x, 12 should be on the other side, which means C should be the correct answer. Okay. Number 5. Okay. Which expression is equivalent to 5y minus 10? We have to remember. I'll pull it down here. We have to remember that anything outside of parentheses needs to be multiplied, but not just by the one thing, by everything on the inside. This is called our distributive property. We talked about sharing in some of our classes. We talked about how if I only shared my popcorn with one part of the class, that's not very fair. We have to make sure everybody gets popcorn. So in this case, I don't want to share 5 with just one part of the inside. I need to share it or multiply it by everything on the inside. So I have 5 multiplied by y minus, keep that subtraction sign, 5 multiplied by 10. Okay. Do I have anything that matches this so far? 5 plus y, no. There's not even any multiplication here, so that can't be right. 5y minus 10. Well, I have another 5 in here, so that doesn't work. 5y minus 50. Okay, 5 plus y minus 10. There's no multiplication again, so that's not going to work. Well, we also know we could actually simplify this further. 5 times y could be written as 5y. Keep our subtraction sign. And 5 minus 10 is 50. So, if you're looking at this, if you made sure to multiply 5 by everything on the inside, you would get C. Because B only multiplies by y instead of y and 10. All right. Which equation has a solution of 3/4 for y? Now, that means anytime you see y, you should be able to write 3/4 in its place and get the correct answer. So, A says that 3/4 minus 1 equals 1/2. But what we need to find out is If we take 1 away from 3/4, is it going to give us 1/2? Well, hey guys, if we take a bigger number away from a smaller number, we know that's going to give us a negative. So if I have 3/4, I need to take away a whole. Do I have enough to take away? I don't. So if I'm taking 1 away from a part, that's going to give me a negative answer. In this case, a negative 1/4. And that's not 1/2. If you needed to think about this as actually doing this, we could also say, okay, 3/4, 1 would be 4/4. So 3/4 minus 4/4 would be negative 1/4. Okay, 12 times 3/4, which we put 12/1 times 3/4. And we need to figure out, is that 16? So 12 times 3 is 36/4. 36 divided by 4 is 9, not 16. Doesn't work. All right, 1 1/4 plus 3/4. Well, we know if I have a quarter and I add 3/4, that gives me $1. So inevitably, if we have 1 1/4 and we add 3/4, that's definitely not going to give us 4, guys. It's going to give us 2. So C doesn't work. Now, some of you would be like, oh, it's D. Let's just choose D. We always check our answer. So 8/1 times 3/4. 8 times 3 is 24 divided by 4, because 1 times 4 is 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 8y equals 6. 8 times 3/4 is 6. So obviously, yes, D is the correct answer. You should have all of this work on your paper. Please do remember, if you don't show work, you don't get credit, guys. You gotta show your work. Number 7. Okay, some of you have been confused on these because you get lost because you try and solve it. I'm gonna tell you a much easier way. Let's go ahead and look at the bottom first. We have a -6 and a +5. That means we need to look and make sure there's a -6 and a +5 on the bottom for it to be equivalent. Okay, this is a -5 and a +6, so that's not going to work. -6, -5, nope. -6, +5, -6, +5. Okay, so we're between C and D now, just because we looked at the bottom and we compared it. Now, if we look at the top, 9 plus 8 plus 2. No multiplication, no subtraction, none of that. So, we need a 9. We need adding 8 plus 2. So, we got 9 plus 8 plus 9 plus 2. There's an extra 9 in there. Doesn't look right. And we have 9 plus 8 plus 2. Guys, if we're comparing this, 9 plus 8 plus 2, 9 plus 8 plus 2, 5 plus -6, -6 plus 5. We have all the right stuff. We have the same value. D would be our answer. Now, I know there's no work here. So that means that we need to go through and explain. If you decide that you want to solve, that would be plenty of work. I could see that. But if you're doing it the way I did, where we're just comparing, we could say the denominator has a value of -6 plus 5. And the numerator has, we should have said equivalent value, or equal, both work, has an equal value of 9 plus 8 plus 2. Because if we actually added this and we just compared just the top and the bottom, 9 plus 8 plus 2, 8, 9, 10, plus 9 is 19. 19 over -6 plus 5 would have been -1. So if we're looking at this, 9 plus 8 is 17, 18, 19. That's 19 on top. Over 5 plus -6 is -1 on bottom. So they have equivalent values. Remember, if you're not going to do your work, you must at least write something explaining how you got it. So, Summer buys almond milk for $4.25 a gallon. Summer spent $17 on milk. The following equation can be used to determine X, the amount of gallons of almond milk she purchased. Okay, we know we need to ask ourselves 2 questions. But first, we're going to draw our balance. The first question is, what's happening to X? So, what's happening to X? We're multiplying X by 4.25. The opposite of multiplying is to divide by 4.25. So we're going to do the opposite, but we've got to make sure we stay balanced and do it to both sides. So if I divide by 4.25 here to get 1x, I have to divide by 4.25 here. Okay, now, obviously I can't do this in my head, so I'm going to come down here and show my long division. 4.25. I remember to move my decimal twice, move it twice, add 2 zeros, extend my line. 425 into 1,700. Okay, let's go ahead over here and 425 times, let's try 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 2 is 8, 9, 10. 4 times 4 is 16, 17. Oh, so 425 goes into 1,700 4 times. So that means X is 4. And we can find our answer choice, D. Please make sure you have all of your work. And if you had guessed a few other numbers before that, that's great too. Last question, and one of our hardest because we have to really think about what it's saying. So I'm going to go ahead and I might make some pictures just to think through it. So which situation is best represented by the equation below? 35 plus something is 52. So Jordan completed 35 push-ups on Tuesday. By the end of Wednesday, he did a total of 52 push-ups. How many push-ups M did Jordan complete on Wednesday? So we got 35 on Tuesday, plus whatever he did on Wednesday to get his total of 52. That's an option. We're going to put a star by it. Michael needed a total of $52 to buy a backpack from Journeys. He'd need an additional $35 for a sweatshirt. How much does Michael need, M, in total for his sweatshirt and backpack? So he's got a shirt, and he needs to add the total of the backpack. I'm going to draw a purse, guys, because I am not an artist. So if you're thinking about this, it doesn't tell us that the total is 52. It's telling us there's going to be a new total, which is not what we've been given. Michaela is saving for a new bike. In October, she saved $35. In November, she saved $52. How much money M has she saved for her new bike? Again, she's got her money from October plus the money from November to give her a new total, which is not what's happening here. We got Mary is baking a batch of cookies for all her family. She needs 35 cups of flour and 52 tablespoons of vanilla extract. How much M cups of chocolate chips does she need to make for her family? Mary's baking a batch of cookies for all of her family. She needs 35 cups of flour, 52 tablespoons of vanilla extract. How much M cups of chocolate chips does she need to make cookies for her family? We can't even answer this one, guys. We would need a recipe. So none of these are actually similar things. So it's definitely not D. It's definitely not C. It's also not B. The only one that actually matches where we have a total of 52 is A. If you will think through these, if you will start looking at what's happening, yes, there's addition in both of these, but they don't know the total. We know our total. We don't know part of what we're adding. So that's the difference here. Now, I have no doubt you guys are going to be amazing. Please put your names at the top. Too many of you turn in no name papers. And I am so excited for you guys. You're going to be great. And I will see you then. Bye.